It's that time of year when we eat lots and lots of pie. Lucky for us, one of the best pies is made right here in Oklahoma. When our Susan Miller and Ilea Shuttler serve up a slice of Fields pecan pies.
These are just a few of the 1,500 pies cooking at the same time in the huge oven at the Fields Pie facility in Pauls Valley.
This oven's 100 foot long and about 14 foot wide. And it'll, like I say, it'll hold about 1,500 pies from one end to the other, continuously moving.
Chris Field is the president of Fields Pies. He's the heir to an Oklahoma family business that turned 90 years old this year.
Beginning with Fields Pies back in 1922, my grandfather and his brother opened a restaurant and a filling station downtown. And my grandmother used to make pies for the restaurant. And as it kind of grew, she started making pies for a lot of the restaurants in town. Then it got a little bit bigger, and so she was making them in the restaurant instead of her kitchen at night, and for all the restaurants in Garvin County. Then it got a little bit bigger, and then we started selling them through the whole state of Oklahoma.
We couldn't get Chris to give us the family recipe, but he did take us on a tour of the plant that makes all of the Fields pies distributed throughout 22 states.
Each day we make about 12,000 pies a day. And this is flour. On the flour we use a wheat flour, a soft wheat flour. It's enriched but unbleached. Makes a real good crust, the soft wheat flour does.
About 2 dozen employees work 8 to 10 hours a day at Fields. They start making pies here in the kitchen at 6:30 every morning.
This is a dough divider. He's putting the dough in there and divides it into plugs into about an 8.5 ounce plug of dough.
2 machines press dough into pans sturdy enough for customers to reuse. Once they're pressed, the crust move on to pie phase 2, filling.
This is the corn syrup. That's corn syrup in the filling. This is where all the sweet stuff is made. This is where we mix the corn syrup and sugar and eggs and vanilla and all the good stuff. We use about 8,000 pounds of corn syrup a day.
It takes 2,500 pounds of pecans for Fields to put out those 12,000 pies each day. More than a cup of pecans is deposited into each freshly pressed pie shell. Once the pecans are in the crust, the filling is added 14 pies at a time. The pecans will rise to the top as the pies are moved into the oven.
So those are in there cooking right now at 350 degrees. It's just like looking in your oven at home.
After about an hour in the oven, the pies will spend 2 hours on a multi-story cooling rack. And then, well, they face a hard-shelled final inspection before packaging.
She's checking the crust for imperfections. She's looking for possibly a place where the pecans didn't fill that's bigger than a quarter, and we would reject that. That would be a second or a broken crust.
In the early 70s, things were a little different for Fields pies.
At the old pie kitchen is what we call it downtown. We used to make 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we could only make 3,000 pies in a day, in a 24-hour shift. And now we're making 12,000 a day out here in an 8 to 10-hour shift.
Chris's dad gets the credit for creating the automation that enabled the company to increase its output. But now it is Chris's turn to take this family-run Oklahoma business to the next level.
Our sales are increasing every year. We're expanding to new territories, bigger states. I just recently moved into some areas out in Tennessee and in Mississippi, which is part of the eastern part of the United States that I haven't been in before. We're trying to make demand out there. We're pushing to get, ideally we would be in all 50 states eventually.
Happily, you will not have to go out of state to find your favorite pecan pie this holiday season. Fields pecan pies and their other sweet offerings are at any Oklahoma grocery store.